Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Trey Styles, author of Black Boy Arise and the host of the Black Man Talk podcast.
Because I know we got to move along. I just want to ask you one more question about them. Then I'm going to get to the two men, okay? Try to, if you can, like, we all got our present. As a black woman, all right? Whose music do you think talks to us more? Lauryn Hill or Beyonce?
You say us more, specifically African Americans?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this episode we discussing like Black Americans seeking white validation, or really from any other community. So like, whose music do you think speaks more to our struggle, to our spirit, to our community, like with a historical aspect? Who between those two? Because have you ever listened to Lauryn Hill's music?
I have, definitely.
Okay, so who would you say, like, when you didn't listen to music?
And lately, I don't know if you listened to some of Beyonce's projects, especially more recently, the collaborations with Kendrick Lamar and things like that. There definitely has been, and she did a collaboration with this African artist that has messages of female empowerment and just, Black excellence and things like that. So I feel like Beyonce is very conscious of, Black people's success and that kind of thing. So I would, agree that Beyonce.
Yo guys, this is Olufemi from the Sample Lounge, and you're listening to the Woke by Accident podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen. Welcome. Today we have a special guest, Trey Styles, author of the compelling novel Black Boy Arise and host of the thought-provoking podcast Black Men Talk. Trey is back on the show to chop it up today. And you may recall that Trey had joined us on prior episodes 49, episode 69, and as well as episode 103 and 133 recently here. And he is back from the great state of Michigan to share with us. Welcome to the show, Trey, again.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be back, and thanks for having me again.
For sure. So glad to have Trey back on. And I don't know if you caught my shout out on my last episode. I did mention you, so check that out when you get a chance.
We'll do for sure.
Definitely. Always glad to have you on. Appreciate your content and what you have to share with our listeners. So today we have a great topic, guys. Today we will get into a topic about why African Americans seek validation from whites. And really, seeking validation, period, is just a topic in its own. But we wanted to explore why African Americans may find it necessary to seek validation from white people. And so I know this particular topic did resonate with you for some reasons and things like that. So I wanted to have you share on your thoughts on the topic.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you for letting me discuss this with you on your podcast once more. This topic is ongoing. Is something that is not just generational. It's something that's been going on since, I would say, our interaction with whites. So I know some people look at it just like a North American thing, but it's actually a global thing. But because we are in America and we are Black Americans, and for only a short amount of time that we have, like on the podcast, I want to just stick it to mostly, Black Americans in America, the America that we know, right here in North America. And the reason it's so close to my heart is because I see it, us seeking validation from whites in particular, but oftentimes anybody that's not even Black, like, I see us seeking validation from. Like, we have this problem with being accepted by our own. Like, when we're accepted by our own, and that's a whole nother conversation as well, like, the problems within Black America, the internal problems we have with seeking validation when we do seek validation with one another. a lot of times, it's not necessarily the most positive things, I would say. But the reason I think this has to be discussed, and I think this has to be discussed for, sadly, I think it's going to be a discussion forever, as long as we're here in the world, and as long as we have, contact with white America, and as long as we're in the position we are in this country in relationship to white America and other Americas as well. When I see, when I say that we seek validation, it's obvious to me. It's like on many different levels. It's even from the workplace and just being a professional. I'll start there, like just being a professional and working in a predominantly white environment. And when you go in there sometimes and you work with other black people, from my personal experiences, I've seen how some people may feel they can't speak to you, they feel they can't be around you, they can't act with you as much, or they can't sit by you because they worry about what they might think. Oh, all the black people are sitting together, or they're showing favor to this person and that person because they're black like them. And I just remember working at a particular place, and I just didn't fit the organizational culture. And when I say like fitting in, I'm not talking about you going and using slang. It's a time and a place. It's a time when you professional. It's a time when you talk to your friends.
Right.
It's not like I'm gonna go in a professional job saying excuses, expression, saying, "Oh, what up, nigga," to somebody I work with because it's black. I know for a fact not to do nothing like that. That's just common sense. That's the minimum. I know I'm from Detroit. I know when I walk into an organization, I'm not gonna go say what up though. That's not saying in Detroit, what up though. I'm not gonna say what up though when I'm doing business in there.
Right.
But if me and somebody I work with that's black and that's from Detroit in particular, that I'm cool with, when we see each other, nobody's around. I don't see nothing wrong with me and him or her saying what up though, or greeting each other where we greet each other. A lot of times we work in these places, we walking on eggshells so much that we be ashamed to even greet each other and speak to each other. Then we go home, we complain about these things. And there's a lot of things that cause stress in the job with us seeking this validation, because a lot of times we don't have any infrastructure in our own community. So sometimes we like between a rock and a hard place when we work for companies, we work for corporations that's primarily owned by whites. And I think, and I know, not even I think, I know that that's one of the biggest problems, that we don't have infrastructure. When you at the mercy of an enemy or historical enemy or anybody that you're not a part of that group, you're always going to feel like you have to acquiesce to their whims, because they're going back to community, they're going back to infrastructure, they're going back to resources. And a lot of times we're going back to nothing, essentially.
Right. And
we're
then
going back to nothing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say along those lines with, you know how to come in to greet people of a different culture than you. But sometimes when you look, your other coworkers are the same culture, as the leaders. They kind of relate to each other in a way that you're never going to be able to do so. Do you find that as well?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like every group has their thing. Every group has their greetings. And my thing, if you're going to have a corporation and you're supposed to care about diversity and inclusion and things like that, you should understand that everybody is different. That's why they have things like ethnic sensitivity tests and things of that nature, workshops and stuff like that, to understand that every group is different. Even every family is different. Me and my family had this way we may whisper, the way we may talk. And other black people may not have that because it's a family thing as well. So that's one thing, like, way I may joke with my family members, it might be like it's an inside thing with my family. We understand that. But then as a group, we have ways that we understand certain things as well. Like this African American culture. Like we see a movie, we see a joke, we laugh, and the other people may be around like, what's funny? We don't get it. But every group has that thing. And I just think that the biggest problem with us is, first and foremost, the reason we have this problem with seeking white validation. Yeah, we know about slavery. We know how that detrimented our psyche, know how that hurt us emotionally, physically, spiritually. Very well aware that we know about Jim Crow. We know how that affected us and how all these things still affect us. The remnants are still there. It's not like it's a thing of the past, it's a thing of the present. It's going to be a thing of the future as well. But the thing is, we seek these validations a lot of time because we don't have any infrastructure of our own.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have corporations, you have businesses of your own, you can create business and corporations that work in the interest of your community, like everybody else do. Now you go in places and they say no dreadlocks allowed, no braids are allowed. Culturally, you know who, that's our culture naturally. We wear dreadlocks, we wear braids. That's our thing. Now we was to go we used to set up like a black corporation, a black organization, something for us, you know, we wouldn't really have problems necessarily. We, you know, if we support our own community, we build in our own community, we wouldn't have those problems like as much as like we build with ourselves. But I know what most people are gonna say. There's no such thing as a black code. There's no such thing as black unity, and so and that's one of the more difficult things for us. When you have people that feel like, oh, there's no need for that. There's no way we're gonna come together, and it's a lot of people like that. And that's why I told you I wanted to get with you and some other black podcasters to talk about those topics that I told you about.
Yeah.
But that's the most interesting thing to me. Like with us seeking validation is because when you don't own nothing, you got to beg other people for acceptance. So you got to get jobs and everything from them. You don't oftentimes feel like you gotta go along to get along. You got to play by their rules all the time. But the problem is when you do that, a lot of times these people we're not playing the spook who sat by the door. We just becoming like trying to become one with them, which we'll never really be. And it doesn't help build any infrastructure in our own community. You don't bring no resources back and build from there. And so I learned this here or there, so I'm gonna use this and use it to help my community out. Now from your personal experiences, like I know we talk about the workplace because I don't want to be go on and on. I want to be precise about this. From your experiences working in the place, do you see how sometimes we are in the workplaces or other spaces, how we feel like, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that? Because I remember having a conversation or you can't look this way, you can't move this way. Because sometimes whenever you do something, we feel like, oh, whatever you do, you're making it hard for all of us. If you be difficult, or you speak up for yourself, even if you're right or you question something, you've been an asshole, you've been an angry black woman, you've been an ignorant black man or an aggressive black man. Or you just have questions and you may not understand something, even at work. And some people may be talking amongst our own group like, they always doing this, they always make all us look bad, they always make it hard for all of us. And a lot of people don't like when people historically spoke up because they feel like when you speak up, you make it hard for all of them. Because you got some people want to just to get by, like, don't bring your problems here, don't bring that here. When you do something, you make it bad for every single black person in the room. Like, you ever had those experiences in any places?
Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what you mean by that, and just, having conversations with, different black professionals, and then really, which is funny, some that are even in a position of leadership that have been made and felt uncomfortable just having certain interactions with whites. I know one young lady, part of a lot of groups on Clubhouse that have conversations about different topics, and one lady was sharing in that she was actually interviewing a white guy, and I think it was on Zoom because we're just kind of out of this pandemic environment and a lot of people are working virtually and things like that, and she mentioned it was a Zoom interview, and you have to be careful about if your mic is muted or not. Anyway, when she popped up on the screen, he said, "Oh, it's a black girl," and his mic wasn't muted, and so she heard him, and I think he even said the F word in there too, and so she had to think okay, oh my god, what do I do? Here she is, the leader, what I mean, and she's wondering, and that's the thing, we're trying to be, make sure that we're adjusting to them so much that even when they do something clearly inappropriate, wrong, we kind of have to think, okay, how do I want to handle this? Do I say something or not? I want to say that she ended up not saying anything, but she kind of, at the end of the interview let him know, and diversity is very important around here, and just to kind of let you know, I heard you, you know what I mean? But kind of slyly did it in a way. But it's why can't we just, if that had been the shoe on the other foot and a white person, heard you say something off color or inappropriate on a Zoom hot mic, do you think that they would just ignore it and go on with the interview like as nothing happened? I think they would say something. I think yeah, I don't think they have those second thoughts that we have second thoughts, whether we're on the employee side or the leadership side. I think we're always wondering and wanting that feeling of wanting to be careful because of the validation that we seek, because there's that fear. And I think the reasons why I have some reasons of why that will that I want to go over with you, that I found that I think is interesting. But I think part of the reason why is fear. Don't you think? Fear.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely fear. That fear is ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm.
That fear of how you get the fear of being even immediate, not even a physical lynching, sometimes a media mob lynching. Sometimes how they attack you in the media, or and that's like people who like sometimes like our stars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to mention one thing about how even you said like when we're in ownership, sometimes even we do that, and that's true. Because I talked about the importance of having infrastructure where you don't have to do that. When you get supported by your own people. But the problem is, I do know we gotta be honest about our group, and it's sad to say this, that because of our conditioning and everything, I know part of it is just human nature, but it's also part of it just our conditioning having being a special people with a special problem. Particularly just talking about Black Americans in particular. It's global for Black people, but we're just talking about Black Americans specifically here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a lot of times we have a lot of we have more turncoats in our group than anybody. We historically have a lot of people who go thinking about reporting and telling everything that you do that's gonna get them ahead. Every single job I've been on, it's been people like that. And I remember going into a job, my first professional job, and being so happy to be there and seeing only a few Black faces and being happy to see, oh yeah, I see, you see them, oh yeah, this is a Black person, and you think like, yeah, man, at least I got somebody I can talk with, I got somebody I'm cool with.
Mm-hmm.
But it hurts the most when those are the main ones that throw you under the bus.
Yes.
Because they feel like there's only room for one of us. There's only room for two of us. I'm the only Black guy supposed to be here. I'm the only Black girl supposed to be here. I'm the only Black person supposed to be here. And it's like the Hunger Games, like we just do anything, just like we just trying to, like, it's just like a dog-eat-dog world. Like there's no love there. And then you gotta be, it's so complex. You gotta be careful because you got those people that can talk cool, they can talk smooth, they can talk hip, they can talk Black. And you like, oh yeah, I got found the real brother here, found the real sister here. But they know the game, but all the time they tearing you down behind your back. And that's the sad aspect of it. And that's something that contributes to us walking around on eggshells. Like I know part of her, when she heard that guy say it's a Black girl, damn, fuck, or whatever he said, part of her, that probably really like, it probably hurt her feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It probably really hurt her feelings because she think, oh, I worked hard to get here, all that, And the thing is, what we gotta understand as a people that you're never gonna be accepted collectively by white America. And the best example is to look at our celebrities, I would say, or people that made it to be, people that were famous and thought they were one with that community.
You think never?
No, never, because even with this, it's probably best for us to discuss it on a different podcast because I can tell you about the things I see in commercials, like how they're promoting like the interracial couple thing and all those things. I tell you that I think it's the reason in the movies you see and all that. I think there's a reasoning for that.
Okay.
Also, the white population is not as producing as much. So it's a variety, and this is a global thing. Like things happen in Brazil, things happen in Argentina. All these things is global, but that's a whole nother topic. So it probably get us off this, but I don't think that we will ever be embraced by them. When you think about as a collective, when you think about, just say, because we want our audience to hear, to be able to have a good point of reference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because all of us come from different socioeconomic status, just regardless of the fact that we black. One thing we are aware of is our celebrities. When you look at one of the most prominent, I'm gonna give you a couple examples. When you look at Muhammad Ali, for example, right? When Muhammad Ali came along, before he changed his name to Muhammad Ali and converted to the Nation of Islam, his name was Cassius Clay. Okay, so when Muhammad Ali won the gold medal, you know, he was celebrated in 1960. I believe he won it in Rome. When he won the gold medal, he was celebrated by white America in particular. And when people used to say the mainstream, that's code word for white America.
Mm-hmm.
So he was celebrated by him. He was happy he won the gold medal for the United States and everything. It was all good. When he was talking trash to everybody and, you know, coming up saying, oh, you know, they was no, he was known as the Louisville Lip. He was like a comic relief for a lot of them. You know, he was funny to him. You know, in the way he was, you know, he was a joke. He was silly. He was just, he was safe. He was cool. You know, then when we fought Sonny Liston, you know, Sonny Liston was not loved by white America. He was like a brother that was a regular brother. Like he just said, hey, it is what it is. Even though he had mob ties and like that, but he wasn't accepted by them. It's like he was the one who was gonna do his own thing. I'm gonna be my own man. They hated him. And Sonny Liston, I'm gonna get back to Ali. Sonny Liston, like for once, he was seeking validation a little bit, but then we saw they wouldn't accept him. He was like the hell with it, because Sonny Liston grew up hard, you know, like in fact, you should know about Sonny Liston because he's St. Louis.
Yes,
you know,
I've heard
St. Louis. Yeah, Sonny Liston came up hard. He came up hard. You know, he come from the South, but he moved to St. Louis to find his mom. He had a rough life. Was a tough man there, you know, and you know, he was seeking validation from them as well, but then he just said, "The hell with it! Like shit, I'm gonna be me." And you know, they didn't like the way he looked. He looked, quote unquote, looked like a thug. He looked rough, so he was never accepted by them. But at the same time, you know, they favored Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson was, you know, trained by Customato. That was later on Mike Tyson's trainer. Floyd Patterson was known as the cool guy. He was like accepted by the NAACP. He was safe. You know, he wasn't threatening or anything like that. Now, you got Sonny Liston, who's frightening to them. They don't want that image of a black man, you know, throughout America. So they didn't like Sonny Liston either. But Ali was being cool. You know, now when they didn't think he was going to beat Sonny Liston. Now, he beat Sonny Liston. You know, and they were shocked, you know, because they thought Sonny Liston would beat him. But then shortly after that, Muhammad Ali joined the Nation of Islam. Muhammad Ali was seen walking with Malcolm X. And you know what white America thought about Malcolm X. You know, so and you think about that. Now as soon as he, you know, embraced our heritage, this is the thing right here, this is the main thing. As soon as he embraced us clearly, as soon as he embraced our heritage in any type of way, that's when Muhammad Ali became hated. That's when he became hated at the time, when he embraced us. And what I say is, while we'll never be accepted, is like anytime we embrace us and we unapologetically us, that's a problem. But we trying to be accepted, we're trying to be one with them. That's when you consider like a safe guy. You know, you got, and I'm not calling necessarily nobody sellouts, and I don't like to use the word Uncle Tom because the correct sellout, if we're gonna call somebody Tom, it'd be Sambo, not Uncle Tom. Actually, it'd be Sambo, actually. But you got people that was considered like safe. And I want to talk about this boxing because boxing is, you know, it's history. Boxing is tradition. And recently, another boxing match came up where you saw like a lot of racists come out. We had a boxer Lomachenko go against Devin Haney. I don't know if you have been seeing some of those things on YouTube when a lot of people was coming out. Everybody was coming out, you know, dissing Devin Haney, like even other black boxers. And that's one thing we think when somebody won, but a lot of people just came out against Devin Haney. They always just talking down on him. Oh yeah, he lost that. He lost that. Because people looking at Lomachenko, you know, the white guys, the war hero for Ukraine, and people fell in love with his story. But then many people went back and watched the fight a second time and said, oh yeah, most of them were saying like, oh yeah, I think Devin Haney really won. And it's just all this, like these people just is always seeking validation. And I know I'm running on because it's like, we're just having a heart-to-heart conversation, but it's something that's always there. But like when you think about anybody that's really embraced us, anybody that's been unapologetically black, how have they been received by white America? Just think about it. Like anybody that's like making clear they pro us. How have they ever been received by white America? And you can name some names that you think they really embraced us and they were treated well by white America. And I bet I got a rebuttal against it. Just think about it. Anybody you know that any athlete, entertainer that really embraced us, that was really loved by white America, or really any other America, but especially white America.
I mean, I'm thinking like Michael Jordan. I mean, just our culture is embraced by not just whites, but okay.
Oh no, okay. We going all day on now. Come on now. Our Now Michael Jordan, come on now. now you when I say anybody that embraced us, like anybody that embraced us, like Ali embraced us.
Okay.
I say anybody who embraced our culture, our heritage, anybody that was black and unapologetically black, and made it clear they love to be black. Name any one of those people, because I don't think Michael Jordan is that person.
You feel that way?
Yes. I don't think Michael Jordan is that person at all.
Oh wow.
I mean, like, he's just the same guy. Like,
he's a black man.
No, I think you miss him. I think you missing my point a little bit. I'm not talking about just being black. I'm talking about somebody who embraced our heritage.
Yeah.
Jordan didn't do that. He the same one I was talking about, like when he said something about the shoes. I don't want to quote him wrong. Something about shoes, like the shoes being prices for kids in Black America, with black kids killing each other over shoes, his gym shoes and all that. Because we see us and we see him because he black like us. He's the same one said, well, Republicans buy shoes too. Something of that nature. No, you better comment like that. Like, I mean, he didn't care.
Like he's unaffected by it.
Mm. Yeah, like the hell with it. And you from St. Louis, I'm from Detroit. That's people will get jumped over Jordans and killed over Jordans and things like that.
Yeah, they do.
And I mean, it's like you just had no compassion about it. It was just like, oh, the hell with them. I mean, so I'm gonna make it clear to you because okay, so Muhammad Ali embraced us. Do you remember how Muhammad Ali was viewed by white America?
I mean, he even went to jail for a period of time because of his well, that was like his religious beliefs and things like that. Not going to the service, not willing to serve.
Yeah, he was he could have faced I believe 5 years in prison because he joined the army. He never went to prison, but his boxing license got revoked.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was his way to make a living. So his family was affected. He was affected. That fact, he was out for 3.5 years.
Right.
But it was all good. Muhammad Ali was cool when Muhammad Ali was clowning around, and when Muhammad Ali won the gold medal for America, he was loved. But when Muhammad Ali embraced Black America, which he's been a Black American, he embraced his heritage, he was ridiculed. He was hated. And personally, I still don't think they ever loved him. I think the reason a lot of them act like they love Muhammad Ali now, or even when he was in his older years, because they feel that he was defeated. And when I mean defeated, I feel like when him ended up with Parkinson's disease, because a lot of people still didn't like him in the 70s and all that. Mm-hmm. He would still get booed. He would get cheered by some white people. He still got booed sometimes, after that as well when he came back. But I think the reason a lot of them feel or act like they like Muhammad Ali is because they feel he was defeated. And when I feel when I say defeated, I mean like he got defeated in life in the sense that he got Parkinson's disease, and people are like, oh, we feel sorry for Muhammad Ali now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We feel bad for him. Like, he's been defeated. He's been beat up by life. And, and they don't like him. Muhammad Ali had that indomitable will and that spirit. Even though I think he still had that even with Parkinson's. But just them knowing he can't talk, he can't move, he can't enjoy life the way he would if he didn't have that disease, that's when they embraced him again. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's nobody on record that was unapologetically Black. You have people that play the role. Nobody was unapologetically Black that embraced us, embraced our heritage, that was ever loved by white America or really any other America. And mm-hmm. What I mean by that, but especially white America, what I mean by that is anybody that stands up for us. Do you think, let me ask you this, now this will be a clear cut. Do you think white America loves Malcolm X?
No.
Why is that?
I mean, they probably would see him as someone that I want to call him an agitator or something, or a troublemaker, or, that was anti Semitic, or, they would pull out certain things in his past and, maybe certain speeches, even though, he changed his kind of school of thought toward the end of his life. But I think they would go right to, some of those sound bites of him saying things about maybe Jewish people, for example, and say, oh, this is anti Semitic, and feel not relating to anything, that he said, and feel that it wasn't, a good message, basically.
Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good, right now. And Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X was friends.
They were.
Quite naturally, right? So quite naturally, and let me, how you think gonna feel about him? This is who your friend is. Like, it's all about control. It's all about power. It's all about all those things controlling you, making you be what I want to be. And another good discussion about this, like, when you think about it, like, because I want to talk about the rappers as well, and give you an example when I say anybody that embraces us. Now, when you, because I definitely, I got to say, like, I don't hate Michael Jordan on that, but he's definitely not one that's unapologetic black. I mean, he's definitely not one like that. But I would say, now, when you say Malcolm X changed his views, a lot of times that's what they try to put in the media. But, like, his views, as far as, like, he was opened his mind to working with people that was about truth. But his views as far as, like, white America or global white supremacy hadn't changed.
Okay. I agree.
So, he still knew that, they were racist, and he never said, oh, this will change. He said, perhaps, and so that was that. But let me ask you this, like, because I know we got to move on this argument, but when you think about people that embrace our heritage and all that, who do you think white America, like, and listen to this closely when I say, I'm gonna give you two women, then I'm gonna give you two men, and I want you to answer which one do you think white America would embrace more as safe, and which one you think they'll look at as more like a radical or troublemaker or something like that. We're gonna start with the women first, ladies first. I love my sisters, I love my black women. So I'm gonna start with the ladies first. Okay, I'm gonna give you two: Beyonce and Lauryn Hill.
So you're saying which one would not be perceived well by whites?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just think about it, because there was some controversy with one of them in particular. But just think about that.
I mean, I guess you probably you're pointing me towards Lauryn Hill, but she is like a 5-time Grammy Award winning artist too, and that means a lot in the industry when you have a Grammy under your belt.
Okay.
But, in comparison to Beyonce, also has her share of Grammys and, fanfare.
She has a lot more, though.
True. But yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, I'm not even just talking about the Grammys. I get the Grammys, I get that. But how that's perceived, like, it's considered to be, oh, that's great. That's like when you were successful. That's when you validated and everything.
Correct.
But what I mean is that, do you remember the controversy when they were trying to say Lauryn Hill was a racist when she was out? When they were saying, like, she's racist, how she's saying, oh, she don't want white people to buy her music, and she said, I never said that. But they had a problem with her, and they was coming out against her. Oh yeah, well, you don't like white people, so some white people was coming out saying they didn't like Lauryn Hill.
Was that like from a song lyric, or where did that come from?
I don't remember exactly if it was from a song lyric, but I remember her talking. I believe she was in Norway. She was in Norway talking about. She was talking about like, I never said that. She said my music is made like for our community, but it doesn't mean. And I never said white people shouldn't buy our music. I'm saying I'm comfortable basically with us going gold, and we've just been celebrated by our community. But it doesn't mean that my music is not universal. That's what she basically said. I never said that. But they just got on her about that. Because, Lauryn Hill embraced our heritage. When I say embraced our heritage, I'm not talking about somebody just black. I'm talking about somebody who, who's African-centered, who wants to build with black people. That's what I mean. When somebody who wants to build with us, not somebody who just say they black. Being black ain't enough. I'm talking about somebody that wants to build with us. So Beyonce, that's never been Beyonce's thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, you know, a person is a good person or a bad person. I'm
Not
saying
too
like the
much on
people that,
Beyonce.
huh?
Not too much on Beyonce. You know, she
You like
does.
her?
I do like Beyonce, and then she does a lot of charitable work, especially in impoverished neighborhoods. You know, especially in the city of Houston. There's a lot of things that she has personally, you know, reached out and did as far as a charitable giving back standpoint.
What I'm saying is I like both of them too. You know, but I love Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? I love Lauryn Hill, but I like both of them. I'm just saying like it's people like sometimes it's people that's put out before us that's safer, but they get promoted more because their
Uh,
message is not as.
I
Have
feel
you ever
like
listened to? Oh, go ahead.
no, I was okay. In support of Beyonce, in Beyonce's defense, I mean, she has made some moves to definitely show that she is unapologetically black. You know, I can think of two examples. You know, her Super Bowl performance, which was very black, unapologetically black, with like kind of the black berets and, that whole theme and the formation. And she definitely kind of was a nod to like Black Panther and, certain parts of black culture for that. Her homecoming tour and things like that, which was basically her love letter to black colleges and black HBCUs, even not having that experience herself, basically kind of promoting that culture and through her tour and show was her love letter to the HBCU experience, and so which is very impactful, and I think it's noteworthy.
No. I want to say something. Sister, my sister Jen. Okay. Because
Uh-oh.
I'm not saying you look at it. No. I'm saying that. No, I'm not saying I don't want you looking at it like this way. Because I don't want you like the emotional aspect. Not saying you are not. Because I know you can make a sound decision, but I don't want it to seem like it's like the black man versus black woman thing. Like I don't want to seem like when I'm like when I'm critiquing a black woman, like you personalize like you dissing black women. I don't ever
No,
want
I
to
get
seem
it.
that way. Like because when you talk about a black man, if your criticism is legit, I don't feel like you're a black woman that hate black men. But that is a real dynamic amongst us. I'm not saying that's like with us, but I'm just saying. So what I'm saying, like when someone who's like, you know, sometimes people are allowed to, seem like they're more radical or seem like they're really connected more so because they're they're safe. So let me say this to you: if Beyonce came out and spoke out against racism, like real racism. If Beyonce came out and spoke out like what happened with Sandra Bland and what happened with Tamir Rice and what happened with what's his name George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
and spoke out adamantly like this systematic white supremacy got to stop. This has been destroying our people for years and years. If she spoke out against something like that, right? You don't think that I mean, what do you think happened if she did that?
I think that it would be like who don't even know about the cases would start looking it up. And she's done little things like that, like Hurricane Katrina. She really did a whole lot, got involved, immersed herself. I want to say she probably did do something in support of George Floyd because it was such a big thing. She actually did do something with them. What do they call those? Michael Brown's mom, Trayvon Martin's mom. There was some. I remember a photo of that. She had some kind of like private meeting with them, and there's this photo going on where she met with certain mothers who have lost their children in the different movements. Going all the way back to Trayvon Martin. So I think she keeps herself aware and she shares it. So I don't think that she's just like this, pop star with no conscious. That's not her. She definitely has one. And I think, she's not an activist or anything like that, but I think she definitely shows that she cares about these things because you see it in her social media, you see it in her photography that's out there and things like that. But I mean, she's conscious of being a celebrity and who is, you know, a global superstar. And you typically don't see a global superstar making statements about things like that. But she's done more than your normal superstar. She has.
No, I didn't say I didn't say you were right or wrong. Okay, because I know we got to move along. I just want to ask you one more question about them. Then I'm gonna get to the two men. Okay. Try to, if you can, like, we all got our preference. As a black woman, all right, whose music do you think talks to us more, Lauryn Hill's or Beyonce?
You say us more, specifically African Americans?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this episode we discussing like black Americans seeking white validation or really from any other community. So like whose music do you think speaks more to our struggle, to our spirit, to our community, like with a historical aspect? You know who between those two? Because have you ever listened to Lauryn Hill's music?
I have, definitely.
Oh, okay, so who would you say, like, when you didn't listen to
you know
music,
and
like,
lately I don't know if you listened to some of Beyonce's projects, especially more recently, you know, the collaborations with Kendrick Lamar and things like that. There definitely has been, you know, and she did a collaboration with this African artist that has messages of female empowerment and just black excellence and things like that. So I feel like Beyonce is very conscious of, you know, black people's success and that kind of thing. So I would, you know, agree that Beyonce would be the one that resonates with a lot of African Americans, because she is popular with all cultures, but especially African Americans. And lately she's had some projects where she has shared and voiced her thoughts and feelings in, you know, love of being black. I mean, like, it's literally in her lyrics, you know.
Okay, okay. We'll come back to that. That'd be a good discussion. I like for us to do a broad panel on that. We'll come back to LA. So personally, I mean, you would say that Beyonce's music speaks to us more than Lauryn Hill's?
Yes, and I say that because I'm thinking about certain songs in particular, and then because it is more recent, you know, the ones that I'm thinking of are more recent, and she, you know, is making these statements about, you know, being black, unapologetically black, and being proud to be black. And even her mother has, you know, made comments on social media in support of her and Jay-Z and things like that. I remember, you know, anyway, that's my answer.
Okay, and just one last question, but now, and it's not trying to be funny. Is Beyonce your favorite artist?
She is. I enjoy Lauryn Hill as well too. You know.
No.
I mean, I don't want to. You're pitting them against each other, but they're really, like, you know, in my top 10 of female artists of all time for sure. So, but yeah, I enjoy Beyonce and I enjoy Lauryn Hill. I think they're both amazing.
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to pit them against each other. It's not like trying to say like which.
But I mean, I wouldn't, you know, necessarily say she's my favorite of all time. I mean, I probably, you know, would prefer like a Jill Scott, maybe. But she's, you know, she's on the list for sure. She's on my Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, I like Jill Scott. But no, what I was saying, we not doing like looking like, oh, you pitting two black women against each other, because I'm about to talk about two black. I'm about to talk about two black men that's not want to be like that division, like, oh, he's trying to bring us to cause. No, it's not like that. It's just it's like in terms of like white. We talking about in terms of white validation. You know, like why certain people are perceived or be considered safer than others. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next two artists is two hip hop artists. Okay, and I'm gonna ask you, who do you think? First, I'm gonna say, who do you think will be accepted more by white validation of white America? The two artists are Jay-Z and Tupac.
So who would be more accepted? I would say Jay-Z. And then, you know, I was actually thinking of him when I thought about my Michael Jordan answer a little harder because I guess I misunderstood what you meant. I guess in my mind initially I was thinking someone that both cultures, whites and blacks love and kind of revere. And I think Michael Jordan is that type of person who is revered by all cultures because he's just, admired for his greatness and the achievements that he's made. But you were kind of asking the other side of that question. And so, but no, I think that Jay-Z definitely, is kind of admired by, whites as well, in a, larger way. So in comparison to Tupac, I would say that, whites, have embraced him more favorably than a Tupac.
And see now, and why is that?
And I guess it would have to be, keep in mind the, pinpoint of where Tupac's career ended, shortly with, where the year that he died, he, did pass away at a very young age. So he only achieved, so much from a musical award standpoint and things like that. And Jay-Z has made a lot of, significant musical achievements, from a touring standpoint, awards, and just notoriety, popularity. His association, obviously, with Beyonce being married to one of the most popular superstars, pop stars in the world. Aside from that, he has his own, the whole business acumen, all of his business dealings, and just the visibility of him, just from a social media standpoint. I think that, an older white person may see Jay-Z's picture and say that's Jay-Z. Like, I think my mom, who, she's in her 70s, knows Jay-Z's picture just because the visibility of, him being in the news from some, he's in a business venture or they bought this big mansion or something like that. You brought up Tupac, and I noticed that he's getting his Hollywood star just recently here in June. I guess a few weeks before his birthday. He's just now getting it in, 2023, and
let me say this
that
to
says
you.
a lot.
Okay, let me say this to you. Tupac, globally, so people just looking at the now. Tupac globally is the most well-known hip hop artist of all time, and all globally, not just nationally, but globally. So what I'm bringing you, what I'm bringing you around to is you're gonna see in a minute. You're gonna see in a minute. But okay, so which are these two artists? We always speaking about us on this. I'm speaking about us. Like, is Black America seeking white validation? Okay, or who's
Well, no,
pretty
you
much
asked
accepted by
which
white?
one would be more accepted by whites, right?
No, I didn't. No. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying, I'm just repeating the title. That's
Okay.
what I did say.
Yeah.
I'm repeating the title. What I'm saying is okay. So in terms of like, Black Americans seeking white validation, we talked about people in jobs and professions that we work in seeking it or feeling like they can't be themselves. We talked about people when they was even owners. So in terms of these two artists, Tupac and Jay-Z, which one you feel is most connected to us, like musically or just period? Like, which one you feel like is more unapologetically Black?
I mean, I guess it would definitely have to be Tupac. His mother was a Black Panther, for God's sake. So, I mean, you can't, get any closer to Black struggle than that. Literally being like in your mother's womb while she's in a jail cell, from her contributions with the Black Panthers and things like that. And just her making sure that he was aware of, being Black and what it meant from an early age. And, he couldn't help but, embrace that and include that in his content. And, basically everything he's ever done has kind of been in the background, so totally Tupac for that one.
Okay. Now, okay, and okay, so who do you think would speak out against racism quicker, Jay-Z or Tupac, like in a blatant way?
I mean, Tupac didn't, shy away from making public statements. I think Jay-Z's in a point in his career where, he's not necessarily going to be making a big public statement against something unless it's like impacting his business. It's kind of like what we've seen, he may release a statement, and he's definitely done his share of contributions and charitable works towards certain tragedies and 9/11, whatever it is, Columbine, different things that he has gotten behind. He may have done some things quietly too, and a lot of celebrities do that, but and I think, he may have done something specifically with like Trayvon Martin's situation with the family. A lot of artists do things quietly. But, I feel like Tupac for that one.
Okay. And what I was getting at is like, and all I was basically saying is that his wife is the same way. She's just his counterpart.
What, unless it's business related?
Well, what I'm saying as far as like, I would say Tupac and Lauryn Hill, like musically, we would debate this later on, like they're more connected to us. Jay-Z and Beyonce, yes, of course they have black fans, of course. But I'm saying they're more like commercial. They're more like, I'm not saying they don't know what's going on.
But they're in tune with their blackness too, and that's a part of their content, and their audiences hear that and receive that.
Okay, and we're gonna move forward because I want to up the show. But is it okay if I read one thing? What I mean in the Tupac squad said about Jay-Z. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is what he basically said, because, Billboard recently voted Jay-Z the #1 rapper of all time, right? Mm-hmm. They voted him. Now, Billboard is not really connected to us like that, right?
Right.
You'll say, okay, so this is what his dad replied, and then we'll move forward. He said, Billboard revealed their top 50 rappers of all time in honor of hip-hop's 50th anniversary. Jay-Z tops the list as the greatest rapper of all time, makes Tupac #4 on the list. Meanwhile, no other rapper has been able to break Pac's music records to date. My personal opinion, only in the minds of commercial success is Jay-Z better. No rapper has had more influence on society than Tupac. Jay-Z is an accepted capitalist who speaks about nothing truly relevant to black people's plight. Talented, no doubt. Best not in our world.
And who said that?
Now, did you go look at Tupac's father said that?
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, let me say this. We gonna move forward, but then this gonna be something else. I want us to be on a full pound of more than us, and we'll talk about this. I want to have some sisters and more brothers that we talk about.
Okay.
Like this. This would be good. But talk about like these artists and compare them though. Let's move forward.
Yeah, definitely. I did want to share. I found some information from ChatGPT. Actually, you guys should be familiar with ChatGPT, which is I guess a version or a mechanism of the AI technology, and so you can find information. So anyway, check this out. So I found these reasons of why blacks may seek validation from whites, and this is from ChatGPT. So here are a few reasons. Historical and systematic power dynamics. In societies with a history of colonialism or racial oppression, white people have held positions of power and privilege. And we kind of talked about this, so that's interesting that that's on the list. Another one is cultural influence. Western cultures. You mentioned, Western society are predominantly associated with white populations and have had a significant impact on global media, entertainment, and fashion. This influence can create a perception that certain standards of beauty, success, or social acceptance are linked to whiteness. So that's interesting too, about the standards of beauty, success, and social acceptance. Some people just automatically in their mind link all of that to whiteness. I mean, we've talked about on this show white woman syndrome, you know what I mean? Things like that. That's all related, the standards of beauty. I'm more worried and concerned about this missing white woman than this missing black woman, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, she's more important, or she's, beautiful, or just whatever that narrative is. So that, kind of speaks to that. This other one is internalized racism. Systematic racism or societal biases can lead to internalized racism, where individuals from marginalized communities may internalize negative stereotypes about their own race or culture. We talked about that, people on the inside who basically are gatekeeping, the situation, and that, this speaks to that internalized racism, i.e. Candace Owens and several others, and I don't even get me started on that, okay? But the other one they have on here is social conditioning. Socialization processes such as media representation or interpersonal interactions can influence individuals to seek validation from specific groups, including whites. Society messages and norms shape our perceptions of what is valuable or desirable. So that's pretty interesting too. And then also the other one was a lack of self-worth. So what do you think about those reasons? Those are pretty spot on, I think.
Yeah, they're pretty spot on, and like we kind of touched on that. What we realizing now, like early on, we talked about our conditioning. We aware. I know you, like myself, probably aware of the Willie Lynch letter and things of that nature. Aware of the conditioning, the oppression, and how everything black was looked at as ugly, as dirty. We look at the word black in the dictionary, it's bad. So everything about us has been turned to be ugly. Has been viewed as ugly through the eyes of whites generally, globally, and America in particular, and because they're the ones with power and they're the ones who have power, wealth, and influence. A lot of times, the law of the land is going to be whoever has the most power, not who's right, but who has the might, and who has the power to make whatever they feel, whatever they view as the thing. Whether you believe in God or not, you see Jesus is white, you see God, everything is white. Everything, history has been white. That's a global thing. You still see from what's going on in our cities, in St. Louis and Detroit, with gentrification and eminent domain. Anything that was black towns, black cities, Tulsa, Oklahoma. In Detroit, we got places like Black Bottom and Paradise Valley. The freeways were constructed, I-75, to take away our history. So anything, we've ever done, like to build and to acknowledge ourselves and so self-reliance, it was always like kind of destroyed. And anytime we look to, self-determination, we saw beauty in our own spectacles, like beauty in being black, beauty in having natural hair, beauty in having full lips, and and things of that nature. It was always a movement against that, and I think forever will be that. But everything you said on that was really pretty much it was spot on. But it's just like I said, history been white, and everything, like the dominant system is white skin, male privilege. That's a global thing, and it's a global thing. I know we talk about us, but like even with Asians in particular, who's trying to change their eyes because they don't like, quote unquote, their eyes to look Asian.
Yeah,
so
Julie Chen did that. The journalist. She admitted to doing that.
So it's a global thing, and then you got, I know you may not like when I say this, but then you got the sisters who always have their hair straight, and then you hear people say sometimes like I've heard it's funny, people say like natural hair is just not for me. Well, for me, I had to say like, how can your natural hair not be for you though? I'm just saying, like, just how can it? I mean, that's what you were blessed. How can it not be for you though? Like, well, that's just not my thing. It's just not for me. Like, now I love India Arie when she said, "I'm not my hair." That song, that's a deep song, and she would show range. We can rock it all kind of ways. Nobody can rock the hair the different ways we can rock ours. I get that, and that's beauty in being black. But what I would say is just like, how can your natural hair I hear women say, "My natural hair, that's just not for me." Why is it not for you? You know, then you say, okay, then you say, oh, that might be because of your condition. No, it's not because of that. I said, like, why we don't agree with our natural hair as a collective is not for it. How can it not be for us? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what you say?
No, I'm saying I get that. I get that.
Like just think about me and now mention a lyric Lauryn Hill said. What she said in the song, she said, "Look at where you be in." I forgot how the word goes.
Her weaves about Koreans or something like that.
Let's say, "Look at where you be in." We'll say her weaves by Europeans. Her weaves like Europeans. Fake nails done by Koreans. Come again. You know. So I'm saying like we speak to that, and let me ask you this now: did you see Lauryn Hill with that?
No, she definitely represented from a natural standpoint. She totally did. And that's what I love about her. And she was gorgeous. You know what I mean? Like her Grammy outfit, I mean, her whole, just, it was wonderful. It was just such a beautiful expression of blackness, Totally.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she's represented from day one, Eve's Sister Act. I mean, just always, day one, she has always represented.
Just like Tupac. Just like Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first? Think about Brenda's got a baby. First, come on now.
He has.
No, but all those things are spot on. You know, it's like we'll be redundant if you talk about it, but all that's like really spot on. Like it's just like the dominant system is white skin, male privilege, and it's like a global thing. But and then that's just what it is. Like,
but I think it's so interesting then, like Jay-Z's rocking a natural hairstyle right now with locks. I think the preferred expression is locks, not the word dreadlocks from my understanding. So he's been rocking locks now, and I'm like, okay, he's kind of rocking this Basquiat look. So, they're totally embracing, blackness in that.
Let me say this, Jay. Let me say this. See, this stuff get juicy because I can say this. Like, I've seen sisters, right? I'm not even gonna say sisters because that's a whole nother word what I consider a sister. Okay, like we know sisters known as black women, brother known as black men, black Americans are this. But let me say this: it's some people that wear styles because it's popular now. It's some people that wear styles because it's the end thing. And some people just wear styles because they think they look good in it. So let me say this. Lauryn Hill, not only was it just she thought she looked good in it, but it was also a statement as well.
You know what? Jay-Z's mama, for the record, has worn locks for years and natural hairstyle. And she actually lives an alternative lifestyle from my understanding too. That's a whole nother show. So I mean that may have had an influence on him as well. So I think it's more than just being trendy with him. Obviously, and I think
I didn't say it was. I'm not saying that's his reason. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to imply that. I'm not trying to use no connotations.
Yeah.
If I say that was him, I'll be direct. But that's just what it is. But I would just say this. Sometimes people know how to play the game. And I'll say this: you got people that criticize Tupac, but you got Jay-Z, you got Tupac, and you got Biggie, for example, Nas too. But I'm just saying, for example, when you think about these guys' music, like people try to play Tupac, but Tupac music always was balanced. Like he would show up more. He would have a song and he would talk about playing women and all that. He was talking, he say hoes and stuff. He said that, but he always had a flip side. You know what I'm saying? It was always a flip side about, it was a balance. I'm saying a lot of other people don't have that.
True,
true. Like he got his first song on Brenda's Got a Baby.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep your head up.
Mm-hmm.
You got Never Call You B Again. You got Dear Mama. You got all these things. Like it's just like consistent. It's just like it was a part of who he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Like and I would say this, like when you think about now, I saw sisters, right? I saw black women. They got dreadlocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would see her like, okay, damn, like she straight, like, oh man, maybe she she African centered and all that, but and then you see her and she might date this white man. You like, wait, damn, like So what I'm saying is like you just can't judge, the book by its cover. I get that because it'd be some girl coming in rocking her hair straight. She might be rocking her hair straight, and she might be like, "Oh, I'm all about my black man." You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like
and just because someone dates a non-melanated person, I mean, they're still a black person, and they still, care about
what do you mean?
black issues. You were just saying, you just made an example of someone wearing locks, but yet they're with a white person. And what does that mean? What does that mean?
But that's my point, though. That's my point. Like, what does that mean? Just because his mom was wearing locks and things like that. That's my point. I'm just saying, like, it just cause, that's not. We're gonna discuss that later on. I mean, that's what we're gonna all us gonna discuss on another panel. But I'm just saying, like, you just can't judge and say, okay, just because she wear dreads, she's African centered. Just because she wear her hair straight, she's not African centered.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she wear dreadlocks don't mean she only date black men. Just because he wear dreadlocks don't mean he only date black women.
Right.
He might be open. He might be open. I'm just saying, then it might be someone who you think them. Oh, I know they date all the time. They might be exclusive. So that's all I'm saying. Like, that's furthermore what I was saying about what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna talk about that later on.
Okay. Well, you mentioned it, so I just wanted to, yeah. Okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't expecting you throwing in the whole music artist thing. That was a kind of different twist on this. I thought you were just gonna stick with the whole corporate thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to show like kind of like the full range.
Right.
Like, I mean, we got the corporate, but it's not just corporate. It's like top down. It's like it's corporate. It's entertainment.
Yeah, it's culture. Period. Yeah,
it's culture.
It's impacting the culture, definitely. So yeah, we talked about the reasons and just kind of feelings of what this validation seeking looks like. So yeah, guys, think about that, and if you have examples of seeing how some blacks seek validation, maybe share that in our social media. We'll be glad to revisit that. We'll be doing more conversations like these. We have one planned for Trey's platform. So, please be sure to follow us both so that you can be in tune with these upcoming conversations. Anything else to share on the topic?
Nothing at all. It's just, my message to the audience is, love yourself. And that's the most first and foremost. Just learn how to love yourself and accept all your flaws and know that nobody's perfect and that you just gotta love the skin you're in.
Definitely. Yeah, lack of self-worth is one of those, and that, is so important that you definitely have to have that internal, drive and love of, self-love and, making that important and things like that. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Appreciate you having me on.
For sure. So guys, we will be sure to share Trey's link. Trey, remind us of the name of your book and your podcast.
The name of my book is Black Boy Arise by Trey Styles. You can find it on Amazon. The name of my podcast is Black Man Talk. Not Black Men, Black Man Talk with an A. It's one word. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, and other social media platforms.
Excellent. Okay, we'll have those links in the description, so be sure to check that out. We appreciate you guys so much, and take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review. and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.